Good afternoon, race fans. Tonight we're out in New York, a state currently covered in, I believe, a pretty bad snowstorm, but for us, it is a brisk, almost 70 degrees out here. It's Luke Freeman out here with Ninth Gear Broadcasting, and I'm joined alongside Kevin Tipton. As always, how we doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing great. It's the first and only road course on the schedule this season with WWSS, and I think it's going to be a doozy. I've been watching the practice, I've been watching the qualifying. These guys, some of them got it, some of them don't, and I'm hoping, by the end of this race, a lot of them got it because I think we're in for some very tight, very fun racing, and I hope tonight at the Glen.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin, absolutely. And with this being our only road course on the schedule, I know we've gotten a little bit of chance to kind of run this ourselves a little bit, not in the nowhere near in the same vehicle. I know we can't really speak on too well a behalf, but we understand the track a little bit here. We know it's a somewhat technical track out here, especially turn one. We got an interesting track out here, and the cars definitely don't. I wouldn't say they correspond too well with it. What do you think?
Y- Yeah, I can't really say I haven't done much stock car road course racing, but I tried to hop in this car and turn a few laps earlier here at the Glen, and it's very tight. It doesn't turn like the sports cars we're used to, and it shook my whole room. I got that new wheel, and I think I got to turn the force feedback down a little bit because these are some bumpy cars in comparison to some of the other cars that we've ran. So it's going to be interesting seeing what type of laps these guys can put up and what type of consistency they can put up, because another interesting thing about tonight is, for the most part, we're going to be under local yellows only. Now, if there's a huge pile up blocking the whole track, under admin discretion, we could see a full course yellow, but for the most part, we will be doing local yellows only, meaning that it'll tell the guys, someone has wrecked within your sector and to slow down, but no actual pace car, no actual speed limit that you have to go under caution. It's just a pay attention warning sort of deal.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard here, it really does benefit those who did put up a good qualifying out here and stuff. Speaking of which, do you have the qualify list right now?
I do.
All right, do
How
we want to go
about
and get that going?
how about Nolan Gross with a great lap out here? Looks very fast in practice now. Looks very fast in qualifying. He's going to be on the pole tonight. On his outside is going to be Dawson Price in the 54 car. He's been fast all season. Second row is going to be Omar Rodriguez and Matt Morrison, a couple of race winners. Third row is going to be Seth LaCroix and Christopher McCullough. Fourth row is going to be Connor Price and Jacob Petrosky. Fifth row is going to be Ty Carino and Heath Job. Blaze Billing and Logan Murray. Aiden Stevens and Danny Barnes. Regan Shockley and Kean Fry. Hunter Azell and Nick Hames. Nicholas Warner and Cooper Liardi. Chad Strelo and Nathan Swafford. Sean Merriman and Kyle Van Drunen. Daryl Johnson and Buster Malcolm. James Hudson and Jeremy Osborne. And rounding out your 29 car field on the night is going to be Justin Zemecki. Now, I would like to point out, Luke, the for as far as Connor Price and Omar Rodriguez go, both been bought out once again this week, so they will both be starting from the rear.
You know what I gotta say, I definitely know I didn't feel the best about it in the ovals. I can't say I feel any better about that standpoint in a road course. I think that's a very
Yeah,
scary
but
spot to be starting.
well, we saw both sides of it last week. We saw Omar Rodriguez start from the back and really pierce through the field and make his way up to the front and win. And on the flip side of things, we saw Connor Price get buried early and kind of get caught in the mess of one of those first handful of cautions, and his night ended early because of it. So you know it's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do. But I got word right now that the penalties are being handed out by admin, so we're just taking a minute here and extending grid and getting everything sorted out. Now, I don't know if we have track map that we can look at, Luke, but as far as configuration goes, we are on the Cup Series configuration. There we go. Perfect. The Cup Series configuration. We don't have that whole bottom right quarter of the track that, sometimes we see out here. We're on the NASCAR configuration. It's a shorter track in comparison. We're going to be seeing, 110, 111, 112 lap times out here. So these laps should be going fairly quick under green. It's just going to be a matter of who can hit those handful of turns we have correctly. Luke, I know you've got some experience on some of, or some cars on this track. What turn out of what they have on this configuration would you be scared of?
You know, I mean, the main one that's I feel like is kind of everybody's the main concern, especially on the early laps, has got to be the main chicane. You know, the first bathtub, as we like to call it, Kevin, as we called it back in our as our endurance race.
Yeah, and but I've got to agree, but I've also got to say that carousel right after it. You know, I was just saying how these cars get tight, and you know they slide around and they bump around. That's going to be a really tough one. I know that one.
It's a long turn.
Gives me problems, even in GT3s, even in Miatas. So yeah, it is a long turn,
Absolutely.
and it's a sharper turn on this configuration, as opposed to kind of bleeding out on the boot configuration. Well, it looks like we are rolling now, so these guys are going to pace around one time before the pace car comes on in, and it's going to be Nolan Gross with command.
Yeah, I think we're in for a good one out here tonight, Kevin. You know, we got a pretty strong field out here, a rather strong field than you would typically see on one of these on a shorter configured track like this, but. See what the guys can do out here. We got a chance to see some group racing out here in the practice session here before the race, and we saw some exciting stuff, to say the least. So I think we're in for a good race.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm concerned for the guys, but if there was anything that would make me concerned for the guys, it was what we saw in that practice kind of pit party. I know.
Yeah.
We saw some front bumpers going flying.
A little more than front bumpers. Regardless, we're going to see what the guys can do out here.
It's going to be a 2-wide restart for the first one, and hopefully the only restart of the race. Because if we have multiple, that means there was quite a big wreck at some point. And I'd also like to point out, Luke, tonight we have control, as well as RC, to throw yellows if we see it. Just a couple extra sets of eyes on the track with it being,
that's right,
a decent bit bigger.
You know, a power that's not typically bestowed upon us.
It was pretty good.
Gotta say, I'm rather excited to have a little bit of power in this. So we'll see if we see anything out here. But the pace car is gonna make his way in, and we're gonna get ready to get this thing underway. And there's the green flag, and Nolan Gross with the jump.
Yeah, right away, a good jump for him, and kind of see mostly single filing out. We see Aiden Stevens kind of shoot the inside, but all is calm through turn one, it seems, Luke.
So far, and everyone filing in. We do see some bumping around out there. We see quite a bit of fighting. A lot of people trying to make some transfers early on in this.
Yeah, we saw Danny Barnes starting from the pit lane. I don't know if that's a safety concern for. Oh, and we see Nolan go wide and then get knocked into the grass out in front. Oh, look, Nolan Gross is off pace fast here.
Yeah, we'll go back and take a look at that. We're still green. What happened up there?
He got
doored by
the
contact with the 40. Man, took quite a shot.
Kind of didn't really see the check up that Nolan Gross had formed for himself, and those two get together. But how about Dawson Price now to the lead here? And that's what he wanted to see early, because now he has himself a nice little lead going.
Making their way through the S's. He's got quite a gap on the group behind him. For a second. You get kind of a sense of the pace of these guys right now. Really fanned out already.
Yeah, and reading James Hudson goes into the pits, so maybe some early troubles for him, maybe some. Who knows?
I'm
You really
currently
never know.
seeing
Ty Carino also into the pits.
I'm seeing 2 black flags right now.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
That's what
Maybe
I'm
some
seeing.
drive-throughs, maybe some penalties bled over from previous races.
Possibly. Either way. Dawson Price still looking good leading this thing right now, but so LaCroix, he's closed the distance. He's got it almost to under a second. We see a battle going on right now. Matt Morrison
Yeah,
now.
Nolan Gross has started on the pole. He tried to, get something going, get a little lead going, and through the bus stop got loose, and it seems he's been in hot water since, trying to hold off Matt Morrison.
Holds him off for now, but going into the bus stop.
I'd like to point out, Luke, we're about to see lap traffic already here, which, if you're Dawson Price, isn't what you necessarily want to see, but at the same time, if he could put some cars between him and Seth LaCroix, that'd be ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's only got one car he's going to have to pass here to start before he has another long stretch before he reaches the next. First up is going to be Ty Carino. We are currently reading one off.
Justin Zemecki
and
crashing.
Yeah, he's not. He's still driving out here. He's attempting to rejoin the track right now. We'll go back and watch what happened here, because now he's going to be massively off pace.
Yeah, not only off pace, but also I'd imagine have some damage here, as we saw some contact with the wall. Going back and just taking a look at it, he lost that back end.
Just got loose out of the carousel, like we were talking about.
Yeah, not nearly as bad a hit as I thought it was, so I think he's not going to be able to continue. But I'm seeing Nathan Swafford now crashing. Keep you on your toes here, Luke. And this was getting this was the one that killed me when I ran my laps. If you go back and watch this is, and you can vouch for this because you were watching me turn some of these laps. This is exactly what got me every single time without fail. Coming in to turn 1 and just getting tight. Car just not wanting to rotate.
Yep. Oh,
fortunately, that's going to be a hard hit.
His front left wheel is not turned
to the pits.
And oh no, Kevin, I got a reading. That's going to do it for him.
Yep.
That's going to do it.
Yeah. And
also read the Hunter as
he jumped immediately to the pits.
At some point here. We are just kind of having to go back here and watch most of these incidents to see what happened. And oh, Carrot. Well, the bus stop claims its first victim, Kevin.
Yeah.
Hunter Zell.
Hunter Zell.
Dawson Price looking to pass. 62 of Ty Carino, who is now going to go a lap down. He is now the second lap down car.
Yeah, and as for that gap between Dawson Price and Seth LaCroix, it's been opened by a few tenths by Dawson Price, but they're very back and forth, depending on the turn and depending on the lap.
And now with that lap traffic in between them, it's going to change things up a little bit.
Rating off track for Daryl Johnson and Aiden Stevens, but no incidents for either of them outside of just the standard 1X. But now I'm rating crashing for Omar Rodriguez and Kyle Van Drunen.
Looks like Omar's still driving out here, and so is Van Drunen. We'll go back and take a look at this
Yeah.
real quick here.
Well, you know, I can save you the time for one of the two and just let you know now that both of them did the exact same thing. Kind of
Ooh.
just getting a little floaty out of turn one. You see it in his rear chase, kind of the same exact thing. But I'm reading a hard crash for Hunter Rizal, at least hard enough for him to take a jump to the pits.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna need to go back and take a look at that. Working his way through the S's. Oh no.
Unfortunate start to the night of this 19 car, but that's going to put him at least a lap down. As I know these tow truck drivers take their sweet ass time getting it around.
But they do. It's definitely, they put some better motors in them things.
Yeah, 7 laps in, and something's happened to Seth LaCroix as he's fallen about 5 seconds off the pace of Dawson Price, putting Nolan Gross back up into second place. But honestly, no one's really in the realm of Dawson Price right now. He's got about a 4.5 second gap here, just a short 7 laps in, and I think it's time for some cruise control if you're the 54 car.
Yeah, we got a little while to go out here, so he's got to definitely find the right rhythm out here. Do we have a read on the tires?
I can get you a read on the tires, but I can't promise I know what good that's gonna do. I'm reading 2 sets. I don't know how these tires wear though on a road course in the ARCA cars. Your guess is about as good as mine, but
I can't imagine the tires would hold up the best. Just with them not being designed for sports cars.
Ooh, and a hard hit for Logan Murray here, who was able to get it off the track without involving anybody else, but he has now jumped to the pits. Logan Murray to the pits. Ooh, and we see another off track here. I'm trying to get a read on who that is, but as you watch Logan Murray, that's a hard lick.
What happened? That's crazy.
These cards, they got a mind of their own, especially with prior contact. I know a couple of these guys are already out here driving it around on damage. Yeah, reading in the chat, they wear pretty even, better than oval tires, so maybe not a huge concern here as far as having enough sets goes with just 50 laps. I'm not sure. I think it's a one-stop. Don't quote me on that, but I think on fuel it's a one-stopper, so...
Okay.
I imagine guys will be opting for tires around then. Seth LaCroix now in trouble. He's spinning out of turn 1. That's been the killer thus far tonight, Luke.
Yeah, that it has, and we're going to go back and take a look. See what happened there, and I mean, seems to be a pretty similar case out here. Doesn't seem to hit the wall or anything, though, so no damage, just a little off speed there, but still retains a top 10.
Yeah, you know, still in good shape. We know he has pace out here, so as long as the car is not, you know, killed, I'm not too concerned for a decent finish here for LaCroix.
Awesome Price, though, just looking to keep cruising around this lap traffic.
Yeah, and we're already a fifth of the way through this race, Luke, and it's been all Dawson Price so far.
Next up on the chopping block for lap cars is going to be James Hudson.
Yeah, Luke, you know, God, it occurred to me, what's really stopping us from dialing up Dawson Price while he's whipping laps around here and see what he has to say about the start of this race?
Absolutely nothing. He doesn't seem to be having too many issues, as he is now almost 6 seconds up on these guys behind him. So, get him in here. He could spare to lose a couple seconds talking to us.
Hey, Dawson, guys in the booth, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, this race couldn't have started better for you. You got a good lead, but, is it more of a cruise control sort of deal now, or are you going to keep pushing the car and seeing if you can extend this lead over Nolan?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky there. I think it was lap 1 coming into the bus stop with the little incident there with the O2. Now I think it's kind of just chill out, not push it as hard as I need, or as hard as I could, I guess. Just kind of cruising, doing what I can, cut through the traffic, and manage what I got, and try to keep it under me.
Absolutely. Well, these things are going a lot faster without yellows on the restarts here, so already about a fifth of the way through this race, and we wish you the best of luck for the next 40 or so laps.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
That's Dawson Price, and I'm reading at least a 2-car, maybe 3-car crash through the bus stop. I'm seeing Aiden Stevens and Chad Strelo both involved, Luke.
Yep, looking back right here. We're looking at Kyle Van Drunen here first. He looks like he had a very similar incident there on turn 1 that we've seen all race. But yeah, let's take a look at that bus stop incident. And we see a big pack forming together going into the bus stop. 4 in the 74. Oh, man. They both collide.
Yeah, then right after that we see Cooper Leardi with the same thing we've seen over and over again in turn 1. He hits the wall pretty significantly. I don't know if you want to watch that or not, but
Oh, just gets loose. You see, tries to correct it, and oof.
Yeah, a little overcorrect there. I don't know if it was left wall or right wall sort of choice, but that one was kind of a hard lick there, and definitely going to kill his pace.
Yeah, someone's pace that we didn't even seem to kill was Dawson Price, even while he was talking to us. He still put up, he's well over a second up on these guys now behind him.
Yeah, I'd say well over a second.
An extra second. Meaning.
Oh, okay.
He's
Yeah,
navigating
how about,
around
I'd like to,
more lap traffic. Cooper Leardi.
another guy I'd like to point out is Connor Price here. He had that EOL, but he's up to, ooh, car in the track is Danny Barnes. I hate to cut myself off here, but
Looked like he might have just been leaving the pits. Oh, wait, no.
no, he's, what I saw was definitely
It
Danny
appeared
Barnes.
it appeared that way, but he did. The turn 1 ghost happened to him, and he just happened to be driving out of the pit exit when it happened, and then spun a little more afterwards. Oh boy, I'm just reading
Yeah,
crash after
unfortunate,
crash
but-
after crash. I'm just gonna start playing them.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start playing them. Another
Yeah,
turn 1 victim, James Hudson, I believe. Oh man! No, he collides with
There's a little
the
car contact.
with Danny Barnes. Alright, we got Daryl Johnson as well. I believe turn 1 claimed victim to him as well.
You want to start not watching these incidents unless I let you know if it's worthy of seeing? Just for the sake of not embarrassing these guys with the turn 1 ghost that I know would be killing us every lap. Too.
Yeah. I think that's a fair agreement.
But what I was saying before we kind of went through all these was Connor Price is up into 8th place after getting an EOL. He's really moving it right now. Currently trying to close it in on Heath Job, who has gone wide at turn 1. I'll just let you know that now.
Reading Danny Barnes.
Actually, I think this one was worth going back and looking at.
Which
the
one?
Heath Job one. It was. I don't want to give you too much trouble because it's not on SDK, but Heath Job and Seth LaCroix a little bit of contact into turn 1, and with Job losing a couple spots in a decent chunk of time. That being said, the gap is now over 7 seconds for Dawson
Oh,
Perez.
yeah.
Oh yeah, here it is. Seth LaCroix getting into Heath Job. And nothing too
I was gonna
crazy
say,
as
that
far as,
wasn't too bad. I mean, definitely messed up Heath Job's time a little bit there, though, that's for sure. But
yeah, absolutely.
reading James Hudson going into the pits now.
Turn one goes strikes again for Cooper Leardi, and this time he's got even more damage, it seems, in that car. Trying to get back on track and up to speed.
Yeah, it seems to be the turn that's getting everybody out here, Kevin.
Yeah, you know, it's the turn that got me.
And me.
You know, it's a mix of you know, going in crazy tight and trying to fight keeping it off the wall, or going in feeling good, not getting tight, and just the car coming out from underneath you. So, you know, I don't know how to figure, or I don't have it figured out, but if I were to try to figure it out, I think I'd hit up the 54 car and ask him for some pointers. You know, knock on wood here, but I haven't seen any issues in any of the turns, especially turn one in the past handful of laps. I think ever since that incident between LaCroix and Job, it's been pretty clean. So maybe these guys starting to figure out that turn one, and maybe they can relay that to us. You know what the secret is.
I'd love to know. Throughout our entire endurance race, I don't think I felt any better by the end of it. In that turn. As it stands, just 15 cars remain on the lead lap right now, and next on the chopping block is the 96 of Blaze Billing. Currently reading a yellow flag around Reagan Shockley, who is currently a little off speed there, I think, out of the exit of the bus stop, and spins out and goes around on the carousel.
And I think that's going to be our first commentator's curse of the evening, Luke.
I think it just might be. Gotta say, though, nice looking car.
Yeah, no doubt.
Big brisk guy.
Not a big T guy at all, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm reading Seth LaCroix has crashed. I'll let you know if it's...
We're seeing some two-wheel action. Awesome.
I do kind of want you to go back and watch this Seth LaCroix incident.
Okay.
It's an interesting one. See what the mistake is?
Yeah. And I do feel bad a bit for laughing there, but for those who don't know, this configuration is the typical configuration for GT3 racing, most typical road course racing on this track. But in the NASCAR track, obviously you keep right here, and you know, you don't go through the cones. You can understand the mistake now.
Yeah, maybe a case of muscle memory from previous racing, or just, you know, he had enough and he wanted to see something scenic.
You know, I was sitting there thinking before this thing started. I was kind of thinking to myself that it would be quite funny if someone out there did do that, but I thought it would be me if I tried to run this. I tried to run this configuration now after doing the other one for so long, but I guess it'd just be whatever you're used to running lately. And Dawson Price having no problem maneuvering around this lap traffic out here.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, the gap has closed a little bit. We're seeing about 6 seconds, and it was about 7 seconds last time we brought it up. So Nolan Gross picking up pace, Dawson Price losing the pace maybe. It's still a sizable gap. So with these guys possibly coming into pit here in a handful of laps, it's going to be interesting to see. Ooh, and we got a spinner into the pits. That's going to be Kean Fry, I do believe.
Daryl Johnson, I think. Beating Daryl Johnson.
Daryl Johnson. Oh, you're right. Kean Fry's was into turn 1, not worth watching, but Daryl Johnson going to spin into the pits.
No contact, though. I mean, if any at all right there, though. So, overall, I think he just took himself an early pit.
Yeah, you know, not that early, to be honest with you. I mean, the window's open for guys that want to try to shortcut it. I don't know how much a difference it'd make.
I'd say that was intentional, then.
Laps.
I'd say that was an
Yeah,
intentional
so
early
too.
pit.
I don't mind that call at all. Dawson Price really threading the needle. God. Connor Price now, Luke, up into 6th place after making a pass on Heath Job. He is on the move, trying to get himself a good finish here after starting from the back.
And, man, these guys are spread out a lot. Just looking at your track map.
Yeah, how about Matt Morrison now putting the pressure on Nolan Gross for that 2nd place position? We might have ourselves a little fight here, and I think that's exactly what you want to see for Dawson Price, no?
Yeah, he's got Jacob Petrosky behind him, too. That's your 2, 3, 4 car all bunched up right there.
Yeah, right now, you know, I think these guys know that they want to get filed into the right order because some might feel they're faster than the guys in front of them, some might feel they're slower than the guys behind them, but at the same time, you know, how do you do this cleanly while not losing too much time to Dawson Price? Because assuming we don't have a caution out here, you know, they're only shooting themselves in the foot. by battling each other, if not for the lead.
Yeah, you know, he's definitely got the best
Nolan.
the best pace right now. Sitting
I don't know if
comfortably.
you saw that, Luke, but Nolan barely kept that back in there in turn one. It almost gave out on him.
And we know it's been the killer all night out here so far. As they attempt to work through some lap traffic right before the bus stop.
Yeah, and you know, the bus stop is not a great place to pass, but I've seen it done before, and you know, one mistake in the bus stop can make for a huge run on the carousel. I remember, I think it was Chris Buescher that beat SVG at Watkins Glen, and I lost a lot of money that day. I bet a lot of money on SVG, and he had the race, Luke, until he didn't. That bus stop got him.
Ain't that the way she goes?
It was that day. The battle roars on here for second place, and these guys are being pretty nice with each other right now, kind of just parading around, trying to get the best lap times possible, but it's going to be interesting now with more lap traffic right ahead of them. Logan Murray got to try to hang on to it. He takes the inside. That's actually going to help Nolan Gross, and then maybe even Jacob Petrosky. Yeah, it is. So Jacob Petrosky is going to be able to grab the inside now over Matt Morrison.
Gonna change up their order a little bit now.
I'm reading the turn one ghost, a victim of Chad Strelo. He was able to keep it rolling and get it back together. Now, this was about a lap ago, so
And you know, it seems to be getting a lot of people tonight, Kevin.
yeah, there's no doubt about that. Aiden Stevens now involved in a wreck. This one's going to be out of the last turn. Kind of that same scenario we saw with Daryl Johnson getting loose and going into the pits. Unfortunately for Aiden Stevens, he didn't get into the pits. He got the wall right next to the pits, so maybe some damage for the 74 car.
Unfortunate. And we're seeing that group battle for second place right now, door to door. Jacob Petrosky looking for the outside here going into turn one.
Nolan Gross gonna block.
Well, Matt Morrison testing the waters. Peeking at the inside there, but he's not going to go for it quite yet. But he is going to steal second place from Jacob Petrosky. Or third place from Jacob Petrosky, sorry.
Yeah,
Here come the first of your
it-
pits. Christopher McCullough, Connor Price, and Sean Merriman making their way into pit. They're taking the early option.
Well, yeah, it's about halfway at this point, so they feel they've ran their tires hard enough, and they owe themselves a new fresh set of Goodyears. But how about Dawson Price now? He has over a 12-second gap. He is moving.
Yeah, that he is. Question becomes, what can he do with that gap? It looks like he's
Yeah,
going to
we're
be
trying to
using
do
it to
right
take
now.
his early pit.
Absolutely. Ooh. Jacob Petrosky coming in as well. Came in almost sideways as he wheels it in. That's gonna, that was Nolan Gross coming in. Jacob Petrosky follows, and Matt Morrison now your
Oh
race leader.
no! And Kevin, just thought I'd point it out, getting a read that Nolan Gross has a black flag.
Unsafe entry.
I would imagine so. I don't get a proper read on what it was.
Yeah, and I was actually watching his entrance, and it looked good. It looked like a good recovery off what I was talking about, but it also looked like he kind of sped it up a bit. He hit the cone at about 60, yeah, about 60 mile an hour, and I guess for the guys at Watkins Glen, that's a big no-no, as he is really gonna hurt off that penalty.
Yeah, but it's going to take the lead on over to Matt Morrison. He's making his way around again. He's going to get another chance to go through the pit entrance if he chooses to come in.
And here he comes, and that's going to cycle the lead right back around to Dawson Price, where things started. But not a bad play by Matt Morrison. He's at least going to leapfrog the 0-2 of Nolan Gross after the penalty, so not bad at all. Jacob Petrosky makes his way across the start-finish and back into the lead at this point. In a very, very, very clean green flag pit stop. I know these guys, they come out here and they practice at the practice session, and hope their car's in a spot that can get to that first green flag pit stop at least. And we see a good handful of guys that came in all within a lap or two, and it was done very cordially. So good on them for getting in and out.
Still see that three bunch. Not too far apart right now, but Omar Rodriguez getting pretty close to that front bunch now. All still over 13 seconds off the leader though. Dawson Price up there in the front making his way around some lap traffic right now. Maybe Justin Zemecki. Ian Fry making his way into the pits to get his pit cycle out of the way. It is going to leave 11 cars on the lead lap. Seems turn one got Omar as well. just 20 laps to go, though. These guys got to start making up some time if anybody wants a chance to compete against Dawson Price. Seems to have it dialed in right now.
Ooh, I see your car sideways.
That would be
It's
the
gonna
number
be
8
the-
car.
Daryl Johnson. I do believe.
Yep,
Maybe.
that would be correct. Little Caesar's car.
Big Little Caesars guy?
I am. I do like Little Caesars. What about you?
Oh, yeah.
Big Little Caesars guy?
Oh, yeah.
Feeling in that sense you're also a big crazy bread guy?
Oh, yeah. 2 for 2. But we're seeing Buster Malcolm head on into the pits.
Yeah, we also saw Omar make his way in there. We saw him pull up through turn 1 just a few minutes ago.
It shows no mercy, Luke.
No, it does not. It definitely didn't show me any. Seeing Justin Zemecki jump to the pits. And a black flag as well for him.
Yeah, things still looking fairly clean out here, Luke, with the laps starting to dwindle. I think Dawson Price is starting to smell that he's going to have a good finish out here. I know you never want to speak too soon, but at a track where it's definitely going to be hard to get a caution, I think he's in a great spot right now.
Yeah, definitely, I mean, in my opinion, gives you kind of more of a sense of relief out here. It gives you a little bit of a sense of not having to push as hard as you really would need to. Especially with that much of a cushion right now. You're not having to drive the car as hard out here, but I would definitely be saying take it one turn at a time as always, but oh! Speaking of one turn at a time, he says, get that lap car the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, and that honestly went a lot better than it could have.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
That was the
That was a
41
scary
of
one.
Jeremy Osborne. I will say, Matt Morrison is starting to close the distance a little bit. He's made up about 2 seconds.
Yeah, that might be crazy, Luke, but it honestly looks to be like Dawson Price is even maybe trying to start to push this thing a little bit harder.
Yeah, and I think he kind of saw Matt Morrison starting to gain a little bit of time on him, and I don't know if he liked it that much.
Chris
Seems to be
McCullough, we
his
haven't said a
worst.
thing about him this evening, and he's gotten his way up into a P3 spot after passing Jacob Petrosky.
He's been looking good tonight.
Well, Luke, right after I say that, can we go back and watch Christopher McCullough? Because I got us with the second commentator's curse of the evening.
Yeah,
Can we watch him going out of the carousel? Yeah.
It coming out.
Yep. Right here's good. Coming around the turns. And boom. And that's a toe link. So he can't really turn his car that well now, and he's since lost that spot back to Jacob Petrosky.
Oh,
So
and that is unfortunate.
we each have ourselves one curse of the evening.
It seems so, and I really feel bad every time that shit happens.
Yep. No doubt. But honestly, Christopher McCullough's still wheeling it pretty well. He's given up the spot to Jacob Petrosky, but he's still, he's not fading crazy. I don't know. I guess I jumped the gun on the whole toe link thing. It might just be some minor wheel damage I heard over radio comms, but it's just some turning problems. Yeah, with just a baker's dozen to go here, Dawson Price still looking very good. Matt Morrison has created a pretty sizable gap between him and Jacob Petrosky. About 4 seconds. Then Christopher McCullough falls back into fourth. And Connor Price is going to round out your top five. But he's all the way back, 30 seconds back up the lead. So that just goes to show how spread out these guys have gotten. Who wins? We got one off pace in the bus stop. And then we also have a wreck in the turn 1 that's going to be Daryl Johnson in turn 1. Or actually, sorry, it was out of the last turn, not turn 1. So kind of the same spot we saw him have that incident earlier where he pit off of it. He's able to stay on the track this time with it.
We definitely seem to have our handful of spots out here that have been the consistent worry turns. That last one, that first one, and of course the
Yeah, and we've seen
chicane as well.
a lot of perfect reenactments of wrecks tonight, Luke. I mean, I swear I've seen the same wreck about 5 times.
Quite incredible. After that turn 1, it's just the second their tires hit that bump strip, all traction's gone.
Yeah. But Matt Morrison has closed the gap by a couple seconds since we last spoke, but it's still a 9-second gap. I don't know if that's something doable. We see Nick Hames get involved in a turn 1 incident and take a tow to the pits. Yeah, as I was saying, looks like last lap Matt Morrison was a little over a second faster, and this time around Dustin Price faster, and actually fastest. Dustin Price just set the fastest lap of the race. Look, his tires are not feeling bad.
Man, 1:10.81.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the only driver in the 110s at all. And just looking here, yeah, nobody's touched the 110s, so.
Oh no, Jacob Petrosky was there. Same with Connor Price. That's it.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Petrosky and Connor Price have both hit it as well.
I'm reading a Jeremy Osborne crash. Oh, turn 1 got him. Got tight and bounced off the wall, but he's still out here rolling. And it's gonna be tight between Christopher McCullough and Connor Price for that 4th position. You know, I'm not trying to start battles before they happen, but with the damage Christopher McCullough has, he's about a second slower than Connor Price, and with them having a 9-second gap between each other and 9 laps to go, I imagine that'll be one to watch for. I'm hearing record out of 1, and I'm reading Regan Stockley. Kind of same thing we've seen all night from these guys. This one, however, I don't think too much damage. I think the 93 is gonna survive.
You know, we're just gonna sit here for a handful of, I just want to sit here for maybe a minute and just see if we can see what we see out of turn 1 here.
Who's it gonna be?
I'm fine with them making us look like idiots out here in this situation.
That's true.
So far, the only 2 meatballs on the night right now, Kevin.
Hey, that's not bad.
No, not at all.
Ooh,
Man, real wide.
really wheeling it. Ooh, and that's terrifying.
Bacon.
But yeah, Luke, I think we're gonna be proven wrong here on this one.
That's fine. That just means they're holding it together well. Turn 1 Ghost must have moved on. Speaking of moving on, we got 8 more laps to go in this thing.
Yeah, and the gap here between Christopher McCullough and Connor Price, kind of what I was talking about earlier, is about 9 seconds still, so Christopher McCullough hanging on with what he can. 7/10 slower than Connor this time around. And you know, I only bring this up, I know it's not for the lead, or it's not even for a podium, it's for 4th position, but both these guys, Connor Price and Christopher McCullough, have an honest shot this season in the points chase. Both of them have had really good seasons so far, and you know, that 1 point, 2 point, 3 point difference could really, you know, be the difference at the end of the season.
Speaking of later in the season, Kevin, where are we off to next week? One hates to get, you know, too far ahead here, but...
Next week we're going to Chicagoland, which, you know, I'm a fan of.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
And to answer the other question that's probably floating around in your mind right now, Luke, we got 3 weeks to Talladega.
Oh yeah. Gotta say, that one's my most excited. I'm most excited for that.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you. Dawson Price, though, he's been able to hang on to this gap of about, you know, give or take 10 seconds here. It's been back and forth with him and Matt Morrison, and I know Matt Morrison is thinking if only he could, you know, have a caution to bring it back together. He's got the pace to keep with the 54, but unfortunately that's not how things are going to go tonight, I don't believe, as everyone is, as you look at the map, way too spread out for anything crazy to happen out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Dawson Price definitely does seem to have it together out here. I definitely think all the lap traffic does have something to do with that as well out here. He's done a very good job of getting around the lap traffic and retaining a good amount of his speed throughout, you know, throughout moving around all that lap traffic out here. So, pretty good impact.
Ooh. And big issues for your second place driver, Matt Morrison. Very big issues.
What happened?
Can we go back and watch what happened here in turn 1 for Matt Morrison?
Oh man.
Yeah.
That is a hard hit.
And now Jacob Petrosky right on his back end, putting the pressure on, trying to get around with 4 to go.
And I don't imagine he's going to want to give up that position too willingly. But we're going to have to see how well his car can defend it. As Petrosky's going to look for the inside, he's going to be about half a car length clear.
Yeah, you know, I'm amazed. I really am amazed with the damage model of this ARCA car. The 6th car of Matt Morrison is...
Oh,
and he turns him a little bit.
Briefly goes sideways. But they both hold it together.
I think, yeah, I just looking back at it, I know, you know, you probably want to watch live, but it looks like, you know, they're both holding their line, they're both kind of weaving around, trying to take what they can and met in the middle, and
yeah, I mean, the S's is
both able to make it out of there,
too wide in.
Yeah. Nothing egregious at all. I think they're both just trying to fight for that position, and
Oh, man.
you know, honestly, well, we just saw somebody.
And we just saw your leaders making their way around. Austin Price trying to make his way around even more lap traffic right now. And his lead's just grown out here, Kevin. He's walked all over the field tonight so far. And he's got just 3 more short laps out here to bring this one home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know I've said it for the whole last lap, but I'm just amazed that Matt Morrison has kept the pace he has with the damage he has. Now, with that being said, Jacob Petrosky is going to have another shot at this thing for second place, and with the speed he was able to catch Matt Morrison with, I don't imagine the 6 car is going to be able to hang on to this one.
No, I don't imagine so, but we'll see what he can do out here. As he's got 2 more laps to go out here as they cross the finish line out here. And I'm amazed that car is driving as well as it is.
Yeah, it was a pretty hard shot, and able to take it in stride, get back around, and hang on to second place.
Incredible. Definitely impressive.
Ooh,
and
and
oh
another hard
no!
shot.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
Now the question is, does Jacob Petrosky have race-ending damage? Because right now, Christopher McCullough can see him. He can smell him going into the bus stop, and that car is not turning well at all for Jacob Petrosky.
No, it is not, Kevin. I'm looking at his front left wheel column. It is.
Yeah.
And his front right. Oh, Lord. They are.
Christopher McCullough able to jump 2 spots. He's up into second place now.
On the white flag, Kevin. Or at the start of the white flag. And now Connor Price. He's up into a podium. And he's not too far off of Christopher McCullough. He might have a shot.
Yeah, and you know, I was saying this a good deal of laps ago. The white flag is out that they're on the pace to kind of meet each other at the line. I don't know if Connor Price is quite fast enough to get there, let alone pass, but regardless, while all this action's going on, Dawson Price is heading through the last sequence of turns here. We could just catch him going across and giving himself a little bit of an off track, but
I don't think he's too concerned about an off track out here, Kevin. He's over 26 seconds up on second place right now. He has absolutely killed it out here in this one, and after this turn out here, he's going to take this one home.
Yeah, and zigging and zagging. Dawson Price is your winner here at the Glen in a dominating fashion.
And like I said, Kevin, he walked all over the field.
Yeah, and it's going to look like Christopher McCullough is going to be able to hold off the 28 car of Connor Price for that second place finish. Both of them come soaring through across the front stretch, taking a 2-3. The next back here is going to be Nolan Gross, who's about 50 seconds back. He's had a rough evening, but you know it's gotten better and better throughout the night. He had that rough first lap, but able to come out of here with a P4. Nolan Gross, a good night for him. Sliding into a P5 finish is going to be Heath Job, a good night for him.
Sean Merriman gets the P6.
Just a heartbreaker here tonight, Luke, for Matt Morrison and Jacob Petrosky.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Jacob Petrosky, that car is not turning. That car just is not turning. And they both fought really hard there up until the end, Kevin. They had a good battle going on there, and it's like you said, definitely very heartbreaking to see the end of that.
And just waiting on your official results. A couple of guys are still crawling across the line here. Jacob Petrosky was able to crawl across with no front end, no, column on his, I think, what was it, left front, and no, did he have a wheel at all on that left front? I don't know. I never caught a glimpse of that rear chase that you were looking at, but regardless,
did.
Jacob Petrosky, his car was fucked. So good on him to be able to get around and still maintain a P7 finish.
Absolutely. And just to round out your top 5 here, Dawson Price getting the credited win out here. Christopher McCullough and Connor Price out here making some crazy transfers out there on that last lap out there to steal the podium in P2 and P3. Nolan Gross going to be getting P4, and Heath Job sneaking in to round out the top 5 out here. Dawson Price still out here burning through the turns right now.
I'm going to go ahead and start 3 and go to 1 on interviews. And get your third place finisher starting in the rear here, Connor Price. Hey, Connor, guys in the booth, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, what a race. It's 2 weeks in a row where we're talking to somebody here in the booth that started from the rear on that $5 bounty and had a great finish. So, you want to talk us through how you're able to navigate through what was really a chaotic field throughout all the race and keep your car clean enough to get into a podium?
Yeah, so at the start of the race, a lot of guys towards the back of the field, they were taking EOLs or forgot the word, but they decided to get a EOL, and they kind of just let us by. And me and Omar were kind of just coming through, and a lot of the guys were nice and just letting through. But towards the end of the race, is really just setting up passes to go through the passing zones, coming down into turn 1 and before the bus stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask, we started crunching numbers with about 10 laps to go that, you were on a good pace to catch up to Chris McCullough and maybe a last lap fight, but it just wasn't meant to be there. I heard over the radio trying to get into Chris's head a little bit. Do you think there's anything you could do in terms of racing that could get you, up to Chris McCullough there on that last lap?
He was driving a really good race towards the end of that. I don't think he was making very many mistakes. Once I started seeing his bumper, I think it was 3 or 4 to go, that coming out of turn 13, coming to the start-finish line, that I slid my front end a little bit and had a bobble. I think I could have gotten closer to him if it was for that, but the 8 car, it kind of just landed in a weird spot. I don't know if it was coming to the white or coming to the checkered. From turn 12 into 13, he was right in the gap, and it was just an odd spot for me to try to get around him. But Chris ran a great race. I don't know if I'd have been able to get around him, but I was wishing it was going to be closer. I noticed I was catching up to him, I think, about close to a second and a half a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lastly, I want to ask, 2 weeks in a row, we've seen the bounty kind of, pay out for one driver, not really, or work out for one driver, not really work out for the other. Do we think that, guys are going to stay dedicated to trying to send you and Omar to the rear here with, you guys being able to manage good finishes despite having to start from the back?
I have a slight suspicion that there might be more coming towards me and Omar, but we only have time to tell. I kind of enjoy getting sent into the back, as crazy as that sounds. It helps me learn the racecraft of actually trying to get around people, and tonight was a fun experience and a learning experience, really, how to get passing around people.
Absolutely. Well, you figured it out. You're able to get all the way up into third and get yourself a good points day. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out before we get you out of here?
I really want to shout out my brother Dawson, him, Omar, Seth. That we spent a lot of time working on the road course aspect of all this. We started calling Dawson Dawson Van Gisbergen for helping us out so much and just having so much pace on us. Thank my mom and dad. I know they're watching. And yeah, any friends, family watching, and shout out to y'all.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it, and congratulations, Connor.
All right, thank you.
That was Connor Price bringing it home with a third place finish here, starting from the back. Very impressive. Next interview is going to be your second place finisher. Ran a great race, Chris McCullough. Hey, Chris, guys in the booth, you got a copy?
I gotcha.
Hey man, hell of a race there. We saw a lot of carnage throughout the whole race, but kind of the first incident I kind of want to ask you about there was you're running good. I think fourth position, kind of running some great lap times. Then we saw some wheel damage with that incident with the 41 out of the carousel. Talk us through how that affected the rest of your race and how you're able to manage that damage enough to still maintain a P2 finish out here.
Yeah, the car got real tight and it was real sluggish on the left hand turns with that left front wheel damage. Um, I didn't go back and look at it, but I definitely was trying to just get under him there, and I don't think he knew I was there because he came back down. But all in all, I mean, the car was still good. Connor was flying. I think he ran the fastest lap of the race, like 5 laps to go. He was booking it. He was going to catch me in a lap or two. So I was just trying to hustle it where I could and just be consistent. It was so tight, so I was able to get a little bit more harder on entry, but like on the left hand turns, I was bleeding time. But all in all, it's just glad to finish. I've had such a rough streak of getting wrecked early in these races, or taking my own self out. But I'm just glad to finish, and P2 feels good. I am not a road course driver, but I've really found my groove late in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gotta ask, throughout the season, we've seen a lot of different strategies been able to play out, with cautions happening, with different tire sets, different, wears on different tracks. But tonight, it really seemed pretty linear of just kind of, pitting halfway through and no cautions to worry about. Do you kind of like that style of racing more where it's just pure speed showcase, or do you kind of like the strategy aspect of these races more?
Well, to be honest, if I could change one thing, I would shorten the fuel load on all of these races and get more green flag pit stops because I feel like that's where you know, the driver skill can really, increase the skill ceiling, I guess you could say, to where if we can get some green flag runs and some pit stops, it'll spread the field out, and I feel like I can really capitalize on that because I'm pretty good at getting on and off pit road, managing my tires. Like I'm usually good on the long runs, but it's just it was nice to be able to have no cautions and not have to get bunched back up and where I can take care of myself. Everybody, all the lap cars did a great job. I think Jeremy just made a mistake. He just didn't know I was there. But everybody did a great job, giving everybody space, and it was like I said, it was nice to go green. And the wife will be happy. I can watch TV with her sooner.
Absolutely, and I think we're all happy that we didn't have to sit through too many pace laps, and you guys didn't have to listen to me and Luke whine for 2+ hours out here tonight. But regardless, a great run for you, getting a P2 finish out here, great points day. Anyone like to thank or shout out before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I got to thank Omar and Logan for putting up all these races and the long nights going through all the madness. I got to thank you, gentlemen, for coming and broadcasting every week. I always enjoy y'all's broadcast, whether it be on the super speedway side for us or over here. I got to thank the league. It's been a little rocky. I've made mistakes. Others have made mistakes, but eventually we're going to get to a good balance where everything's going to go smooth. But I usually would thank Kenneth right now, but he's a witch with a capital B, and he's over there money racing because he's scared of turning right. So
Yeah, and that team event over at MMS kind of piqued my interest, so maybe it's something I'm gonna have to go check out here on a non Tuesday afternoon. But as for tonight, congratulations and thanks for the interview, Chris.
thanks, Kevin. Let me know when you do that. I might run it too.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks. That was Chris McCullough. You know, Great finish, Luke. I mean, we talked about how he had that wheel damage and Connor Price was gaining fast. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to the exact lap times, but yeah, Connor Price was a force to be reckoned with, but he was able to hold him off and get a nice P2 finish. Last interview I want to get in here is going to be Dawson Price. Our favorite of the evening, and I think it's going to be a good one, Luke. Hey, Dawson, Van Gisbergen, guys, booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
I had to remember it. Connor was just talking about how you were kind of leading the way as far as pace goes for the team this week, and it really showed out here tonight. You want to talk us through how that car felt out there?
Man, I got in that thing, and especially a few laps into the race, I've got a clear view in front of me, and at that point, it's just I'm hot dogging. Like I'm giving it what it's got, but just not stepping over the limit. I did maybe a couple times through the race, but it was real damn good.
Yeah, and I first want to talk to you about, we kind of joked a couple times throughout the night that if these guys want to learn how to take that turn one without getting into the wall, you got to ask the 54. But I kind of want to know, how were you able to keep it clean through that turn one, whereas we saw the majority of the field at least almost have an issue in that turn.
Yeah, there was many times I heard over the in race comms about an accident happening in turn one and some other spots, but it was just always the turn one. And I think there's a couple tricks to it, but I think the biggest thing is people don't slow down enough. It's easy to enter the corner too hot. You enter the corner too hot there, then your exit, you're going to be light. You're going to be facing the wrong way, like momentum going the wrong way. And then you bounce and then hit the wall or spin to the right. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you had a decent points buffer, a 23-point buffer going into the race, and looking kind of at the guys, following you, you kind of dusted them here tonight. So you got yourself a nice little cushion. Does that kind of give you, a sigh of relief going into Chicagoland next week? Or are you gonna, come out and still try to, put it to the wall and get another checkered flag?
yeah, I definitely really like the buffer now. It was whittling down there for a bit. There was, I don't know, over a month probably. Since Five Flags, I've had some bad luck in the 54, but after today, I mean, like the goal was like I think I can run a good race out here. I'm just gonna do the best of my ability and hope that I can get some more points. I almost got the pole at second lap. Kind of got rid of that idea, but it's definitely really nice. But I don't think it'll stop the motivation. Like it's comfy, but I don't want to get too comfy and possibly lose that gap that we've got here now. So looking forward to it though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a great race here tonight and a great points day for you as well as your team. So congratulations on that. You would like to shout out or thank it before we get you out of here?
Yeah, thank you by the way. But I want to shout out to the Apex boys. Doing really good tonight. I'm really hyped about that. We got some practice in this week, and they had found some pace really quick and showed it during the race, and that's super dope to see. Shout out to them. Shout out to you guys in the booth for kicking ass up there, and shout out to the league for having good drivers in there, respectful. No problems tonight. I think tonight was one of the cleanest races we've had, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations and, go celebrate. But as we always say, it's a Tuesday, so don't celebrate too hard, Dawson.
I gotcha.
All right. That was Dawson Price getting it done here, winning once again and expanding his gap to second place, which, for those of you that don't know, going into the race was Aiden Stevens and Sean Merriman following him. So, a great race for Dawson Price if he looks, strictly to his points buffer, but also just a great race for, bragging rights because he kind of dominated this thing, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. He got the one and only win out here on the on the road courses that we're going to be doing for the season out here. So definitely a nice little, I wouldn't even say personal award. A good little league award there to take home tonight, if anything. But definitely looking good in the league standings for him, and I think it was definitely a good and exciting race for us to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew going into this that this was going to be one of our most exciting to watch just because it's stepping out of a lot of these guys' comfort zones, and it's definitely stepping out of our comfort zone as broadcasters because half the time we're saying shit and it probably isn't even correct, but it's a blast to watch. And Luke, maybe it's not that bad to turn right every once in a while.
No, I don't. I don't think so, Kevin. And I think with our recent expansion into like the GT3s, I think it's shed a little extra light on it for us. So I think we're getting at least a little bit better. You know, where we're becoming some road course experts ourselves. Some would say.
Yes, some would say, but yeah, I think that's gonna about do it for tonight. Huge thanks to everyone that came out and watched, and huge thanks to everyone that came out and drove. I'd like to shout out Skid Row Motorsports. Always a pleasure coming on board with them. So a huge thanks to Skid Row for hopping on board and making this possible. Huge thanks to Omar for putting this on. Thanks to the RC of the evening. I think it was Logan. Everything ran smoothly. It was a pretty easy night for admins as far as in the race goes. I don't know how the post race report's gonna go, but as far as in the race goes, no cautions were thrown. So huge thanks for that because I love these green flag races, and I think that's gonna about do it. Luke, got anything else?
I think you about covered all grounds, Kevin. We'll see you guys all next Tuesday out here at Chicago, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good night, race fans.
Peace.